Welcome to Sexy Mom Abundant Life with best-selling author and coach Kathy Williams, a show to help you tap into the support of the universe and access the abundance that's available in every area of your life. Listen in for conversations and tools to create more ease, joy, and possibility with family, relationships, business, and living. Kathy's joyful perspective will help you tap into your own wisdom and create a life of presence and abundance your way. Listen live on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, or anytime on iTunes or at IOM FM.
Welcome to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. This is Kathy Williams, and I'm joined today with Sophie Michele. We are so delighted to be having a conversation today about priorities. Oh my goodness. Are you living yours? Are you living someone else's priorities? Are you living what society thinks you should? Where is your energy going, and what changes can you make? So, wow. Before we dive into this conversation, I'm kind of getting comfy here. I'm going to introduce myself a little bit, and Sophie as well. This show really is about expanding your awareness of how supportive the universe truly is and how you can harmonize with that. And as I tap into that more and more, you know, I used that awareness to create a life in Hawaii, and also in which I travel around the world. And, you know, like, I think one of the things that keeps us from truly tapping into that a lot is our own judgment of ourself. And as I started to shed that more and more, it enabled me to get on the radio and start doing that 2 years ago. First on Imperfect Brilliance, and now on this show. And to get creative projects out into the world, like books and things like that. So you can also find my writing in several books, including Relationships Done Easy. And Sophie is an amazing coach herself and has worked with companies such as Rolex and different and put together different events in Las Vegas and in Europe and different things. And I find her to be such a fun person to just play with and have conversations about and bounce ideas off. And she's the one who suggested priorities as today's topic. So I'm curious, Sophie, what led you to this idea? What is it?
I'm so glad you asked. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I'm so glad you asked. I am in the process of creating a... Oh.
You seem to have an echo, so I'm wondering if your computer...
My computer is muted, so it shouldn't...
How interesting. Okay. If I'm the only one hearing the echo, that's awesome. I'm not sure.
I don't hear it.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yay! Okay, so I am in the process of creating a workshop for a group of people next week, actually. And the workshop is called From Imposter to Expert, The Secrets Behind Self-Judgment. And I was creating this, and I was looking at how do you move away from self-judgment. And I realized that if your priority is to judge yourself, or if your priority is to fit in, or if your priority is to be according to what other people say you have to be, then you're never going to move away and you're never going to grow. So I realized our priority is one of the main tools that is going to help us move away from self-judgment. And I was really excited about that. So I had somebody that I'm bouncing all my ideas on. Oh, now there's an echo. What did you do? So, there's somebody I bounced my ideas off out, and I was telling him, I'm like, I make choices based on how much fun it is, because that's one of my priorities. And that sounded like such a novelty to him. I'm like, we need to talk about priorities. So, and especially as a mom or as a business owner or as a friend or whatever situation it is, there always seems to be other people's priorities seem to be more important than what I choose to have. And therefore, I think it's refreshing from time to time to be like, hey, wait a second, what is my priority? What do I want? And Kathy, I know you know that I'm growing deeply. These last few months, I'm making a lot of very different choices. And I really had to stick with my priorities. Like, they were not comfortable at all, but I really had to decide, I'm going to stick to this. I'm going to continue because that's my priority and this is important to me. And priority does not make it easy, does not make it comfortable, but it is what's going to get us out of it. Hope that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And I love, coming back to the idea of belonging, right? The idea of fitting in or, I think a lot of times we're in life, and when what we think we want is not showing up, it's actually, in a way, reflecting our own priority, even if we think it's not, right? Like, whatever's showing up is reflecting, oh, this is what I'm really committed to. Even if I say I'm committed to this thing, this is what I'm really committed to. And I'll give you an example. Maybe you would like to reach out to someone. I know you're a speaker, so I'm going to use this example. Like, you would like to reach out to someone for a speaking gig, but you're a little bit nervous about it, or a little bit like, maybe I'm not good enough. And so you're more committed to feeling comfortable than you are to getting the speaking gig, right? This is my priority, feeling comfortable. Yeah, or whatever it is. And I think each of us in some way can identify with the priority of being comfortable. Right? We haven't taken certain actions because they're uncomfortable.
Yeah. So it's very interesting because I recently discovered a priority that I had that I never thought I had. So one thing I wanted to explore today was the idea that you may think your priority is this, but if you actually dig deeper, you're going to realize it's something else, right? So for instance, I live my life with the target of being uncomfortable. So if I don't want to do something, if I don't feel like doing something, I'm actually going to go do it. So being comfortable is not one of my priorities. However, I was looking at why am I not developing my speaking business more, and I realized I have this priority of looking good. And because I don't look the way that I would like to look yet, working on it, then I realized, I can't reach my priority of looking good if I go out and speak on stages right now. So I'm not going to go out and speak on stages. Like, I stop myself, not because it's uncomfortable, but because I don't look good. And therefore, I had to really realize, I have a priority of looking good, which I did not know I had until I dug deeper. So comfort is something we're often going to say, I'm just not comfortable, that's why I'm not doing it. Yeah, but what's underneath all of that, right? Because I don't have a problem with people judging me. I have a problem with the way I judge me. like
Go figure. Are you one of those people who judges you first and worst?
Oh my, yes. Let's not comment on that, but yes.
I mean, then at least everyone else's judgment pales in comparison, right? If your judgment is like,
you have no idea. Like whatever you can tell me is so nothing compared to what I've told myself. Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's very interesting. And
So,
go ahead.
How did you, like, what was the process for you of looking underneath, right? This is not comfortable. I'm not going to do it. How did you figure, I mean, and your priority, one of your priorities is being uncomfortable, like moving through the uncomfortableness. So, what led you to discover that it was, I don't want to look, I need to look good?
Yeah, and that's where taking action helps a lot. So if I say I'm not going to do this because I don't feel like doing this because I don't want to get out of my comfort zone, and then I'm like, okay, because now I'm aware of this, I'm purposefully going to get out of my comfort zone. But even getting out of my comfort zone does not get me there, then obviously the comfort level is not what the problem is. And so I have to dig deeper, right? So you take action. You're like, okay, great. I'm going to go break out of my comfort zone. And it could, like, for instance, a friend of mine said, if you don't reach out to that many potential gigs, then you're going to give me $100. So it was kind of like a motivation to do something. So I said, fine, let's play that game, right? Because I thought the punishment of pain will actually motivate me, and it totally did not. Like,
it didn't. Oh, how interesting.
I couldn't care less.
Really?
Losing $100. Yep, absolutely.
So they should have raised it to like 300 or maybe even 5?
No, I don't think there was any amount of money that would have, because that was not a motivation for me. So what I did is I was like, okay, obviously that's not being punished, losing something, paying for something. It's not a big deal for me because I know for myself I can always get the money back. I can feel better. It's not a big deal. So I flipped it around. I'm like, okay, what's the reward I could get if I do this? So a lot of times you're going to get motivated either by reward or punishment.
Sure.
Punishment was not working. So what's the reward? The reward is knowing that I could transform people's lives. Okay, that got me a lot more excited. And suddenly I was on the computer looking for gigs, right? Like transforming people's lives, knowing that because of what I say or speak, more people are going to go out in the world and create more kindness, there be more innovation, more creativity, more beauty. Oh my gosh, that's the kind of world I want to live in. And therefore I'll go and work my little butt off to go speak to those people.
How interesting. So you found that the punishment didn't work, and well, now the flip side, what would be the reward for actually doing this? Yeah.
And priorities are going to fall into those two categories. Are you afraid of the cost, or are you looking forward toward the reward, right? Those are your priorities.
Yeah.
So look at that. For anything, especially things where you feel stuck or things that don't move forward or things that don't grow, like what would you rather, is it because you're afraid of the punishment or you're looking forward to the reward? Or you haven't found the reward yet?
Absolutely. And I mean, here's the thing. Our priorities don't have to look or feel or be like anybody else's, and I'll give an example. Yesterday I got on the phone with a travel agent to get my husband some tickets to Athens, from Maui to Athens, and then to Vienna and back to Maui. And the travel agent's priority was price. Now, we got some itineraries emailed back, and my husband was like, it takes 3 frickin' days to get home. I don't want to take 3 days to get home. Like, we would rather pay more for quicker, rather than, and so now that we've talked with a travel agent about that, he can help us get things that are more suitable for us, right? So it's really interesting to look where people are functioning from, because then you can also help them get what they would like while you getting what you would like. Now that the travel agent knows, oh, Kathy and Dave would rather spend a little bit more to have a shorter flight, he can help us achieve that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If we are clear on our priorities and we communicate with the world what our priorities are, then the world is going to respond to that and support us in it. But if we don't clarify it for ourselves and therefore are able to communicate it, then it's going to be hard for me to buy a gift for somebody I don't know. Something. The universe cannot really help us if it doesn't know what it is we want to create. And priorities are a very important thing to clarify.
Right. And part of that is really being willing to, whether it's in a travel agent situation, it's not a vulnerable thing, right? It's just like, oh, hey, in some relationships, it is a little bit more vulnerable. It can feel a little bit more like you're exposing yourself to really express, what is important to you. And I know we're going to go to a break in a moment. We can definitely talk more about that as we head through the show. So thank you so much for being here with me on Sexy Mom Abundant Life, Sophie. Well, and listeners, we'll be back in just a moment. And of course, if you have questions, feel free to call into the show. We'd love to hear you.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Would you like to have a life of more clarity and abundance? What's possible for you when you get out of your own way? Connect with Kathy Williams for private coaching, or join her online to transform your relationship with abundance in every area of your life with the Radical Abundance course. Kathy also travels, facilitating radical abundance and access consciousness bars and foundation around the world. She'll be in London, Hawaii, Hilton Head, and other fun locations soon. Visit www.meetkathywilliams.com for a class schedule, to connect with Kathy, or invite her to your region and get some free goodies.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everybody. We are having a conversation today about priorities. And when I'm saying we, I mean me, Kathy Williams, and Sophie Michele. And so early on, we talked a little bit about fitting in as a priority and pleasing people, which can be a big priority, especially as a mother. Pleasing not only our parents or our job, but also pleasing our kids. And sometimes, pleasing ourselves is not even in the picture. Like pleasing everybody else, sacrificing what would be pleasing to us. So we can definitely talk more about that. And we talked about, reward and punishment, like as motivating, ways to motivate ourselves. Sophie said that $100 was not enough to motivate her to take action, but realizing what an impact she could make was a motivating force. So looking at, what our priorities are in relation to choosing something that we say we'd like to choose, like what's underneath that and what's even underneath that. And also, what is a motivating force? And as you were talking about being motivated by the impact you could make, Sophie, I thought of the 7 levels deep exercise, and I'm not sure who created this exercise. I got it from Dean Graziosi, and it looks like this. You're looking essentially at your why. Like, why am I choosing this? And 7 levels deep is, why is it important to me? And maybe you'll say, well, I'm just going to pick something random. Like, okay, why am I choosing this new job to work from home? And then you say, to have time for my family or time for myself and freedom, not have money be tied to my job. Okay. And then why is that important to me? And then, whatever your answer is. And then why is that important to me? And then why is that important to me? And so you go 7 levels deep with that. Why is that important to me? And it's really interesting to see what it unearths.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because it's no longer just the surface level thing anymore. It's like, oh, wow. Yeah. And then you can also see, like, is this the only way I could have that? Or what other ways could I have that show up for me? So,
yeah.
I see you nodding.
Oh, I love that. I love the asking why. The only thing is that sometimes it's not as deep as 7. Like, it's very interesting because there'll be times where, it's like there's something even more basic or even greater and easier to achieve. So like if having fun is a priority, if I say I want to go on stage because it's fun for me, there are a lot of things in my life that are fun. So if I just say, then my priority is having fun, then I can just go and play with the dog. That'd be fun too. So there are sometimes, there are other priorities underneath, and sometimes it's good to be like, okay, making an impact is important for me. And one of the ways that I can make an impact is by being on stage. And actually, recently I got another, I love having coaches, but I got another coach for my public speaking business. And he pointed out how much people now are wanting to be in front of speakers more than ever. So people are fed up with online content because it's very easy to get online content, but it's not easy to apply online content versus when you're in front of somebody, it's a human relationship and there is something that gets created. Even if it's you and 1,000 people in front of one speaker, there's something that gets created, a relationship gets created that doesn't get created on video. so I was really excited about that because the reason I love the stage is because I feel I'm connecting to people that I'm speaking to, and connection is a big priority for me. Okay, you froze. Connection is a big priority for me, and I will find every single way that I can connect with people, right? Like tonight, I have two possibilities of a plan. One where I will be among a lot of people, but not necessarily connecting with one person in particular. And another possibility where I would probably be connecting with one, maybe two people, but I know there'll be a connection. So I'm probably going to go with the connection one versus the other one, even though I'm learning the other one, because my priority is connecting. So it's important to go deep, and for each level, it's important to look at what are all the ways that I can have that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So it's this way and that
exploring. Yeah. Down and wide.
Down
broad. Yeah.
Broad.
Yeah. And what's interesting as we go through this conversation is there's always an aspect of energy that we're seeking, whether that's okay, I'm getting a reward and that sense of satisfaction or whatever it is that comes with the reward, or avoidance of something, which might be, okay, well, I avoided this, therefore I have security, or I avoided this, therefore I have, whatever it is. And there's an energy that's associated with each of these things, and how, what comes to mind is the desire map. Have you seen Danielle Laporte's work, The Desire Map?
I know Danielle a little bit, but I'm not super familiar with the desire map.
Okay. So it's really one Christmas, or one New Year's actually, she and her husband sat down and they were like, okay, what are our goals for next year? And then she realized, oh, it's the qualities we would like to have. It's the feelings that these things evoke that we'd like to have. And so setting those as your targets, rather than setting, oh, I want to be a speaker and speak to thousands, or I want to be this or that, or have $1 million. Maybe instead the priority there is, I'd like security. I think the $1 million is going to give me that. Or I'd like possibility, and I think the $1 million is going to give me that. And so looking at, like, what are your priorities in terms of how you'd like to feel in the world, or in terms of the energy that you'd like to embody in the world, and that these priorities in terms of energies can, for me, I had a conversation with Sophie Michele about this on the radio last year. It's on Imperfect Brilliance, Sophie Michele, and we talked about priorities, if you'd like to search for that. We talked about having these sort of as energies that help reorient ourselves. So if I'm driving and I'm feeling frustrated and delight is one of my priorities, then I can say, wait, hold on a minute. What would it take for me to have delight in this moment? Right? Because I can put all my energy in the direction of frustration and whatever it is, and it's a choice to tap into something else. And so if I have a handful of things that I'd like to continue to tap into, and these as my energetic priorities, then I can say, well, I'm feeding frustration, but frustration really isn't something that's a priority to me. Delight is. So what would it take to tap into that? And maybe I'll see a flower near the road, or I'll see the shadows of the clouds, and that looks really cool, or something like that. And it's that reorienting element, and having a handful of energetic priorities to tap into has been really useful for me, because energy is something that's changeable on a dime, right? I don't need to, and I know you don't either, need to have someone you're on stage with in order to feel connected. You could tap into the feeling of being connected right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny. I realize you and I, we probably have achieved something we are not acknowledging. And that is that we know we can choose something different in the moment. So if you feel frustrated, you know you can feel something different than frustrated, right? And if I'm feeling disconnected, I know that I can feel and I feel connected in any moment. Like the fact that we know this, because I think of people in my life who are in a certain time of their life and they feel a certain way, and then they don't actually see that they have another choice, that they can choose something different. We do, right? And I think it's because we've done a lot of work. I mean, if anybody listens to you, they know how curious you are and how much you read and study, and same thing for me. So we've done this work, and we know, and it doesn't have to be ugly, by the way. It can be very fun and easy. But we have done the work, so we know we have another choice. And even if your priority is simply to know that you have another choice, that would be really helpful. Like maybe don't go as far as priority is to have all the money in the world, then maybe your priority is to feel like you can change your money situation, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like, what is your priority? What is your motivating force? And what would it take for you to even tap into that right now? Right?
Yeah.
And know it. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I wanted to add something to those of us who are either have families or have activities that take us on very specific directions. And then we have priorities. So like, for instance, I have a priority now that is to spend time with, I don't call it meditating, but I spend time every day with my spiritual life. So regardless of what's going on in my life, I'm going to spend time with my spiritual life. Well, when you have kids to take to school, when you have a job to get to or business meetings to run, that it could feel like you don't have time for your priority, or your priority comes second. But if that's the case, then what I would suggest is you ask, how can I have my priority while fulfilling other people's priorities? So how can I have my spiritual life while taking my daughter to school? And it's been fascinating because I have two kids, so I go to school twice in the morning. And one of them, she's very curious about my spiritual life. So for the 10 minutes that we are in the car together in the morning, we actually explore spiritual life together. And it's a really fun adventure for us to do this together. At least I know that even if I don't have time to go back to myself and be with my spiritual life, at least I've had those 10 minutes with my daughter where we either pray, sing, meditate, declare, whatever, but we are doing that together. So there is a possibility for you to have what you want and still fulfill other people's priorities as well.
I love that question. Yeah. What a beautiful exploration, because I think, at least I've seen sometimes in my own life and of course with clients as well, it's like you see the way we're trying to do all these different things, and then there can be times during which we feel like, well, what's left over for me is the crumbs. And that's never true. Like, it may look that way, right? But the funny thing is, in our popular language, we even refer to it as, I'd like some me time, as if the entire day wasn't yours, right? It's your day. So it's just like, where are we choosing to put our energies? And if it's not, if it feels disharmonious, right? If it feels off, that may indicate that it's time to take a look and be like, okay, where is my energy going? What am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I choosing that's creating this sense of dissatisfaction at the end of the day and feeling like I only got crumbs?
Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing is when you give more time to other people's priorities and you don't actually fulfill your own priorities, that's because you have to acknowledge that's because you want the people to love you, right? To appreciate you, to love you. And if you do that, if that's because you want the people to love and appreciate you, then somehow, somewhere, you haven't chosen that for yourself, or you haven't acknowledged that you are loved, period. So maybe, if you are making other people's priorities more important than your own priority, maybe you need to look at what's that creating? Like, why is that? Why is it that you are giving other people the priority? And it will be very insightful.
Yeah, and I mean, go ahead.
Well, I have another point, so if you want to add to that one.
Well, yeah, looking at, okay, how you're functioning, maybe, okay. The break came quicker than we expected. We'll talk more about how we're functioning in regard to other people's priorities and our priorities when we get back. Thanks for listening to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. We'll be back in just a moment.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Would you like to have a life of more clarity and abundance? What's possible for you when you get out of your own way? Connect with Kathy Williams for private coaching, or join her online to transform your relationship with abundance in every area of your life with the Radical Abundance course. Kathy also travels, facilitating radical abundance and access consciousness bars and foundation around the world. She'll be in London, Hawaii, Hilton Head, and other fun locations soon. Visit www.meetkathywilliams.com for a class schedule, to connect with Kathy, or invite her to your region and get some free goodies.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. This is Kathy Williams here with Sophie Michele, or Sophie Michele, and we are having a conversation about priorities. And it's been such a fun conversation. And there's still places and space. Before we do, I'd love to invite you to a couple of things I have coming up. One is in London, England, and that is 5 days of amazingness in June, starting on June 14th, access bars and the foundation for 4 days starting on the 15th. And these are just 5 days to create more possibility and let go of old hang-ups and limitations that we thought were true that aren't actually true. And I'm doing that again on Maui in August. So August 19th through the 23rd. Day one is access bars, and the next 4 days are the foundation. And if you want to head over to Maui next week, we also have the foundation going on then, May 20th through the 23rd. So it's really a release. Like, it's relaxing, and we have laughter and fun and possibility, and these will be I'm not sure how many anymore, but almost my 30th foundation. So, it's every time it's different and life expanding, and that's why I keep doing it. So, the other thing I'd like you to, love to invite you to is 5 days of getting out of judgment. That's online for a half an hour a day, and that'll start next Friday. So the easiest way to find things is at meetkathywilliams.com/upcoming. That's where all my upcoming stuff is. And if you head to meetkathywilliams.com, you can also find a free energetic exercise to start your day. And I get lots of feedback from people saying, oh my gosh, I love starting my day with this. And I love receiving that feedback. So, you can head on over, and it's on the home page. It's also on the upcoming page, for free. So, is there anything that you'd like to add, Sophie, before we head back into our conversation?
Just that I love that you're going all over the world and doing all these classes. It's awesome. I'm going to be in France the first week of June to do my last foundation class in the south of France, which I'm very, very excited about. And then after that, it will be a fun adventure of new things to talk about. No, I want to go back to the conversation.
Absolutely. Me too. So we left on the note of, me time and fulfilling all these other obligations and other people's priorities and things like that. And just looking at, like, as you choose to change, if you choose to change this scenario of not getting crumbs at the end of the day, but actually, I think one is the energies of what energies can I weave in even as I take the kids to school or even as I do all these other things. And number two is, where can I readjust the actions I'm taking as well? And sometimes, let's say our priority right now, when we really look at our life, we're functioning from the priority of pleasing people, which you brought up earlier. Like, it may start to be uncomfortable as you start to create changes and not choose in that direction anymore. So let's say, you used to show up at all your kids'. My kid has a play next weekend, so every one of the plays or every one of the soccer games, and all of a sudden you're like, well, wait, that really doesn't actually allow me to do the writing I'd like to do or something like that. Like, he may not be pleased with that, right? And would I be willing to go ahead?
I had that conversation with my daughter last week because she was not even in the play at her school, and she wanted me to go with her to see the play that her father was already taking her to go see. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. No, you already have an adult taking you. I don't see why I need to go. This is mama time. I had my kids by myself for 3 weeks, so I was ready to like take a break, you know? I want to add something to that. When we add our priorities to, so like when we find a way to make everybody's priorities work together, there's magic that happens. So I'll always remember when I was working with this office, and I'm not somebody who's very serious. Like, I love making jokes. I love speaking my mind. I love, being different. And I remember going to a meeting, and they suddenly asked me to run the meeting, which I was not expecting. And so I turned the meeting into like, what did you do this weekend? It was kind of a fun, personal meeting. And everybody was like, we never had a meeting like this. It was awesome. When are you doing the next one? Like, they all loved it because my priority was for everybody to connect and have fun and be themselves. And their priority was to have a meeting, which we did have. But by combining the two, like, this magic happened, and they all loved it. And I was asked to do more of it. So I think when we give ourselves permission to have our priorities, the world is like, oh, wait a second, I really like that. You know what I mean? Like, it adds to people's lives. So, don't be a leader. Don't be a leader.
Don't be a leader.
But you said something about, I can't remember how you put it, but something like make the time to have your priorities and to really do or change what is required. Is that what you said? Something like that.
That's the past.
Yeah, that was the past. So I wanna mention an actor that I love very much. His name is Russell Brand. He's British. Some of you may know him, but he's what I call the wild card. Like, I think producers are very afraid of having Russell Brand on the set because he'll pretty much do whatever he wants. And Russell recently realized that he was doing this because he had a lot of insecurities. So he's working on that. And he's going through a lot of support groups. So he's using a lot of support groups to help him get out of his insecurities. And he recently made a video that is brilliant on discipline. And he said he had to build the discipline to go to those support groups and to not drink and to not do drugs. And for him, which was so beautiful, I had never heard it before, he said for him, discipline allowed him to be himself. That without discipline, he could not be himself. Without discipline, he would be falling back into old habits that would not serve him. So I would love for all of us to consider and ask ourselves, what discipline do I need to put in place that I will have my priorities? And for me, one of the disciplines is my sleep. If I don't have my 7 hours of sleep, I'm not a nice person. So I have on my phone an alert that tells me, go to bed. Basically, at a certain time, it says go to bed. And I just shut down everything and I go to bed. So I know a lot of people don't like that word, but what discipline can you have to have your priorities?
I love that, Sophie. And to add to that, I was watching a video of Jim Quick. And if you don't know who he is, he's this memory expert. So he'll go into movie sets and teach actors how to memorize their lines quickly and stuff like that. So he said, he did a quote that just rocks my world, because he's like, first you create your habits, and then your habits create you. So it's like, what habits would you like to set into place so that they're amazing actions you take that ultimately you don't have to think about anymore because they're ingrained, just like brushing your teeth is ingrained. Right? That's a great habit to have. I mean, like, imagine someone who doesn't have that. And so right now with a group of people, and if you're interested in this, any of you listening, you're welcome to join us. If you'd like to develop the habit of writing, that's what we're doing. Because even if you just do it 20 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, that gives you the slight edge, right? You're feeding what you'd like to create for 15 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day. And over time, that creates something amazing. And Sophie just, flexed her muscles. Similarly, if you work out for 20 minutes a day, similarly, if you learn something for 20 minutes a day, right? It's this commitment, right? And it's like we show up whether we feel like writing or not, right? And I do some clearings at the beginning session together so that okay, we can clear some, but we're there whether we feel like it or not. Just like I've done a show about waking up early. It's like whether you feel like it or not, you're choosing that action because over time it creates you. And what kind of life is it you'd like to create? Is it the one that kind of backs down when you don't feel like it? I mean, not to say like when you're sick, you have to show up, but I mean, you can make some concessions, yet it's really a lot of times when we don't feel like doing something, we don't. And what is that creating?
Yeah.
So that commitment to creating a new habit. And the program, if you'd like to join us in writing, it just started a couple of days ago, and everything's recording is called The Right Time, and at meetkathywilliams.com/upcoming.
I like it. The Right Time. Very nice.
Yeah. So I'm curious, I mean, you're someone who has a pretty full life, right? You travel a lot. You have the 2 kids. You have several businesses that you're committed to. Are there any actions that you've made a priority in sort of catalyzing your life forward?
Actually, it was funny for a long, long time. I did not like to put anything like on consistency. I didn't like consistency, right? So I didn't do a lot of consistency. But there are a couple of things now. So my sleep is very important because, especially as a mom, if I don't sleep, it's not going to go well. So I do that. And anything that I judge about myself, like if I catch myself judging me, now I say I love that about me, without really knowing why I love that about me, but I just say I love that about me. And that just softens the energy, and often I'll see the gift behind what I'm judging. So those are really like the ones that I've been implementing.
So I'd love to hear more about I love that about me.
Yeah.
Right? Can you give us an example?
Yeah. So I am super messy. Like, I mean, let me rephrase this. I have things everywhere. And a lot of people are very confused as to how I can keep my life organized because I have things everywhere. But it is because I have things everywhere that I keep my life organized. If things are not everywhere, then I don't see things. And if I don't see it, it's not part of my life. So for me, I have to see things. Now, I get that it doesn't work for everybody. So the common areas where I have people, like the living room and the kitchen, they're organized, they're clean. But my bedroom, my closet, and my bathroom, don't you come and mess with me. Those are my areas, and I get to do whatever I want. So I'm not going to show you, but it's things are out. Let's just put it that way. Like, I still have my glass of wine from last night on my desk, right? Like, things are out. So and that, I know that it's like annoying for a lot of people, but I love that about me because it shows me that I respect how I function, and also I am very creative. So if I have all the stuff around me, then like, ooh, I can play with my essential oils now, or I can go put on my unicorn thing, or like I get to have fun because my things are out. But if I have to go look for my unicorn thing, then it's going to take me way too long. I'm not going to do it. So it just allows me to have more fun. I love that about me.
Wow. Okay, I now have a new awareness about messy people, and if it's out, it's contributing to, like, it's in my awareness, it's in my life. That is fascinating. I love it. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Sophie. Oh gosh, it's so much fun to have conversations with you. And thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your show ideas. You can always submit those to me on Facebook or at meetkathywilliams.com. Kathy has a K. You can head over there to get your Create Your Life exercise for free. And I'm just so grateful. So grateful to you, Sophie. So grateful to you guys for listening. I mean, after all, we wouldn't be here if you weren't. So, have a wonderful week. We'll be back next Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern.